After many days, Long Island medium Theresa Caputo visits her daughter Victoria Caputo's home. She has a lot of fun with Victoria's children, playing, laughing, running around, all of which creates a very happy atmosphere in the house. But suddenly, a disaster struck. Theresa suddenly fell down the stairs and was seriously injured. Victoria, frightened, ran to her mother's side, and Victoria's husband quickly prepared to take their child to the hospital. But just then, Theresa stopped him. Despite being hurt, she stopped him and told him to bring the child to her. Everyone was amazed. Theresa used her spiritual power to completely heal the child in an instant. The incident was both surprising and very funny to everyone, because Theresa, with her strength, turned a moment of fear from a race into a moment of absolute calm beauty. It had been months since Long Island medium Theresa Caputo had visited her daughter, Victoria Caputo. Their lives had become busy in different ways, Theresa traveling for readings and filming, Victoria juggling her kids, the house, and her own career. So the day Theresa finally drove up to Victoria's home in Long Island, the entire house felt like it woke up with excitement. The moment Theresa stepped inside, Victoria's two little children ran to her with squeals of joy. "Nonna Theresa!" they shouted, wrapping themselves around her legs like tiny vines. Theresa laughed, scooping them up as if they weighed nothing. "Oh my God, look at you two. You've grown like weeds. What do you feed these kids, Vic? Miracle Grow?" Victoria rolled her eyes affectionately. "Ma, they're just normal kids." "Normal? Please. No grandkids of mine are normal. They're fabulous." The house filled with loud laughter, tiny footsteps, and the constant chaos of running children. Theresa played hide and seek, tried to read picture books while being climbed on, and even let the kids braid her hair. Badly. For the first time in weeks, Victoria felt the whole house glow. After hours of playing, Theresa decided to go upstairs to grab the bag of gifts she had brought for the kids. She winked dramatically. "Stay right here. I got surprises. You're gonna freak out." The kids gasped. Victoria smiled. But as Theresa placed her foot on the first step, something went terribly wrong. Her heel slipped. There was a sharp gasp, then a terrifying thud. Theresa tumbled down the entire staircase, landing hard on the floor. "Ma!" Victoria's scream echoed through the entire house. She ran to her mother, tears already filling her eyes. Theresa lay still, clutching her side, her breathing sharp and painful. Victoria's husband, Michael, rushed over immediately. "I'll get the kids in the car. We need to get her to the hospital." He grabbed one of the children to move them quickly away from the scene. But then, something completely unexpected happened. Despite the pain, Theresa suddenly lifted her hand and whispered, "Michael, wait." He froze. Victoria stared at her, confused and terrified. "Ma, don't move. Please, you're hurt. Let him take the kids and—" But Theresa shook her head, her face pale yet steady. "No. Bring him to me. Bring the baby here." Michael blinked. "You want to hold the baby? Now?" Victoria looked at her mother as if she had lost her mind. "Ma, what are you talking about?" Theresa repeated more firmly. "Bring the child." Something in her voice, calm, commanding, deeply spiritual, made them obey. Michael slowly brought the younger child toward her. The little one was quietly crying, frightened by the fall and all the shouting. Theresa placed her trembling hand on the child's head. For a moment, the room fell completely silent. Theresa exhaled and closed her eyes. "Spirit, I know you're here. Help me help him." The air shifted, subtle but undeniable. A warmth spread from her palm, glowing softly like sunlight through water. Victoria felt the hairs on her arms rise. The baby stopped crying instantly. Then something impossible happened. Minutes earlier, the child had tripped and hit his knee while running around. It had been red, swollen, and painful. But right before their eyes, the swelling faded, the redness vanished, and the child's expression returned to calm curiosity. Michael's jaw dropped. Victoria covered her mouth with her hands. "Ma, what did you just do?" Theresa sighed, still wincing from her injuries. "I didn't do anything. Spirit did. They said the little one needed comfort more than I needed help." "But you're badly hurt," Victoria cried. Theresa smiled weakly. Honey, a mother's instinct doesn't vanish just because she falls down a staircase. And spirit always comes first when someone's afraid. Michael shook his head in disbelief. Only in this house could someone fall down the stairs and still heal someone else before getting help. Victoria burst into a half-laugh, half-cry. Seriously, Ma, who does that? You're like broken, but fixing other people. Even the kids started laughing, sensing the tension melt away. Theresa pointed jokingly at them. See, that's what happens when you get miracles before your grandmother gets medical attention. Michael wiped his forehead. All right, now can I take you to the hospital? Theresa groaned dramatically. Yes, fine. Let's go before I accidentally heal a neighbor's cat or something. However, it was a chilly Thursday morning on Long Island, and the air was filled with the usual hum of activity outside Theresa Caputo's home. But inside, the atmosphere was tense. Theresa had undergone a minor but delicate surgery early that morning. The doctors assured her family it was routine, but anyone who knew Theresa well knew that even a simple procedure could be unsettling for someone with her high-energy lifestyle. Theresa woke up groggy, the bright hospital lights fading from her eyes, and the sterile scent of antiseptic still clinging to her clothes. Her assistant, Rosie, hovered nearby, holding a warm cup of tea and trying to coax a smile out of her. You really shouldn't be thinking about work, Rosie said gently. Just rest. But Theresa shook her head, her thick brown hair still messy from the hospital cap, and a mischievous glint appeared in her eyes. Rosie, people need me today, she said. I can't just lie here. The energy will wait for no one, not even for a surgery patient. By mid-afternoon, Theresa had convinced her family and her nurse that she was capable of leaving the recovery room for a very short while. Wrapped in a soft blanket and wheeled out in a wheelchair, she was driven to a small, intimate community center where a handful of fans were waiting for her. Word had spread that Theresa would attempt something unusual, giving readings straight out of surgery. The excitement in the air was electric. As soon as Theresa entered, the room erupted in applause. People were moved not only by her presence, but also by the sheer resilience she displayed. Her assistant whispered, Theresa, maybe we should wait until tomorrow. But Theresa, ever determined, gave a small, confident smile. Energy doesn't wait, Rosie. It's right here. I feel it. The first person Theresa approached was a middle-aged woman named Clara, who had been anxiously waiting all morning. Clara's hands trembled slightly as she clutched a photograph of her late husband. Theresa took her hand gently, her touch light but reassuring. Even though her body ached and the medication from surgery made her feel woozy, her intuitive connection to spirits was unwavering. You're thinking about him today, Theresa said softly, her eyes locking onto Clara's. He wants you to know he's proud of how far you've come. And there's a little something about a locket, isn't there? Clara's eyes widened. Yes, he gave me a locket on our 10th anniversary. I thought I'd lost it. She held her hands to her mouth, tears welling up. How did you know that? Theresa smiled faintly, feeling the warmth of the energy flowing through the room. It doesn't matter that I just came from surgery, she whispered. The spirits don't care about hospital gowns or bandages. They care about connection, and right now, I feel him right here with us. One by one, Theresa moved through the room, each reading more emotional and precise than the last. A young man named Michael was struggling with grief over losing his sister in a car accident. Theresa gently described the little quirks of his sister, how she always hummed when she cooked, how she would leave tiny notes in his backpack when they were kids. Michael's shoulders shook as tears streamed down his face. I feel like she's really here, he whispered. Theresa nodded, her own strength bolstered by the raw energy of the room. The audience was completely absorbed. Even her own discomfort seemed to vanish when she focused on the messages coming through. She could feel the spirits reaching out. And for her, that was more powerful than any pain or fatigue. As the session continued, Theresa shared something deeply personal with the room. Even I am not immune to fear, she admitted, her voice husky from medication and exertion. Even I feel fragile sometimes, but what I've learned is that when you focus on love, on connection, and on the people who need you, strength finds you in the most unexpected ways. By the end of the hour, Theresa was exhausted, her body aching and her eyelids heavy, but the room was filled with a sense of awe and gratitude. People lined up to thank her, to hug her, and to share the profound sense of peace her readings had brought. Finally, as she was helped back into her wheelchair, a young girl named Sophie tugged gently at her blanket. "Theresa, how can you be so strong even after surgery?" she asked softly. Theresa chuckled lightly, a sound that was both warm and tired. "Because love doesn't take a break," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Neither do the spirits. And sometimes you discover that even when your body is weak, your heart can be stronger than you ever imagined." Back at the hospital, as she was wheeled back to her room, Theresa leaned back and closed her eyes. The pain from surgery was still there, dull and persistent, but it was overshadowed by something far more powerful. The energy, the connection, and the knowledge that she had given hope to so many, straight from her hospital bed. And in that moment, even in discomfort, Theresa Caputo smiled. She had once again proven that her gift didn't need perfect circumstances. It needed only faith, courage, and love. And she had all three in abundance. However, it was a crisp autumn morning on Long Island, and the air was filled with the golden scent of fallen leaves. The kind of morning where the sunlight drifts lazily through the branches, casting long shadows across the sidewalks. Theresa Caputo sat in her cozy, warmly lit reading room, the gentle hum of the city outside barely noticeable. Her favorite chair, draped in a soft, cream-colored blanket, awaited her clients, as it always did. The doorbell rang softly, and Theresa looked up from her tea. "Come in," she said, her voice calm yet welcoming. A motherly warmth seemed to emanate from her, as though she had been expecting them. In walked a young woman, perhaps in her late 20s, holding the hand of her father, a man in his 50s with eyes that told stories of sorrow and love intertwined. They introduced themselves. "I'm Emma, and this is my dad, Richard," the daughter said, her voice trembling slightly. We were hoping to speak to our mother." Theresa nodded, motioning them to sit. "I understand. Tell me about her," she said, her green eyes sparkling with empathy. Emma took a deep breath. "Her name was Margaret. She passed away 6 months ago. It's been hard. Dad and I still feel like a part of us is missing. We don't know if we'll ever hear her voice again." Her voice cracked at the end, and she clutched her father's hand tightly. Richard's gaze dropped to the floor. "I keep expecting her to come through the door. Sometimes I hear her humming in the kitchen at night, and then I realize she's not there. I don't know if I'll ever stop feeling this emptiness." Theresa reached across the small table between them, placing her hand gently over Emma's. "She's closer than you think," she said softly. "She's been trying to reach you both. Sometimes we need someone to open that door for us, someone who can hear what the heart cannot always say." Theresa closed her eyes and leaned back in her chair. Her breathing slowed, and a calm hush filled the room. Moments later, she began speaking, her voice low but certain. "I'm feeling a strong presence here. A woman with soft brown hair streaked with hints of silver. She's laughing. Her laughter is warm, full of life. She loved her family fiercely, more than she ever let anyone know. She's telling me she misses you both terribly, but she doesn't want you to be sad forever. She wants you to feel her love in your memories, in the quiet moments of your day." Emma's eyes welled up with tears, and Richard's hand trembled as he held hers. Theresa continued, "She keeps showing me a garden full of roses, daisies, and lilies. She wants you to know that she's tending to it now. It's her message. She's in a place of peace, but she's still watching over you, like she always did. Every time you see a flower bloom, think of her smile." Richard's voice broke as he whispered, "Margaret always loved flowers. She had the greenest thumb. She would spend hours in the garden, even in the winter." Theresa smiled. "She's here, feeling your hearts. She wants you to remember the small things. She keeps showing me a blue scarf, the one she wore last Christmas. She's saying she remembers every little moment with you. She's proud of the life you're living, proud of how you're holding on to each other." Emma sobbed quietly. "I never got to tell her thank you for everything, for always being there." "She hears you," Theresa assured her, "and she forgives you, even if you think you needed to be forgiven. Love is never lost, and she's proof of that. She's still whispering to you when the wind brushes your face, or when the sun warms your shoulders. She's telling you, I'm here. I've always been here. Then Theresa's expression softened further, as if she herself was touched by something deeply personal. She's showing me a silver locket, she continued. It's round, and inside there's a picture of the three of you, her, you, and your dad. She wants you to have it. She wants you to feel her presence every time you hold it. It's a symbol of the bond that death cannot break. Richard's eyes glistened with tears as he reached into his pocket. We actually found an old locket after she passed. I never realized. Could this be it? Theresa nodded. Yes, that's the one. She's guiding you to it, to give you comfort. She's telling you that she is proud of how you are coping, proud of how you honor her memory. And she wants you both to start smiling again, not out of guilt, but out of joy that she was part of your lives. A silence filled the room, but it was not an uncomfortable one. It was the quiet of understanding, of love bridging a gap that seemed impossible to cross. Finally, Emma whispered, I can feel her. I can feel her smiling. Richard nodded, tears streaming down his face. I think I hear her humming. Theresa leaned back, her eyes twinkling. That's her. She's here always, and whenever you need her, she'll find a way to reach you. Don't look for her in the grand gestures. Look for her in the little things, in your laughter, in your quiet moments, in the garden she loves so much. That's where you'll find her. Emma and Richard sat together, holding the locket between them, their hearts lighter than they had been in months. They didn't need words anymore. The connection was felt. And though Margaret's physical presence was gone, her love filled the room, warming them from the inside out. As they left Theresa's home, the autumn sunlight seemed brighter, the leaves crisper, and the air lighter. For the first time in months, they laughed. Quietly at first, then louder, as though Margaret herself was laughing with them, reminding them that love is eternal, and that sometimes the strongest connections are the ones that never fade, not even in death. However, it was a bright and bustling Saturday afternoon at the local fair in Long Island. Colorful tents stretched along the main avenue, the scent of caramel apples and cotton candy mixing with the crisp fall air. Families laughed and ran from one ride to the next, children squealing in delight as the Ferris wheel turned lazily above them. Amid the cheerful chaos, Theresa Caputo, the Long Island medium, had agreed to do something different that day. She had set up a small private booth for people who were struggling with grief. Word had spread quietly, and people were lining up not for games or prizes, but for hope. Theresa had just finished greeting a woman who had lost her husband months ago when she noticed a small boy standing at the edge of the line. He couldn't have been more than 10 years old. His eyes were wide, but there was no sparkle in them, only a deep, raw sadness. He clutched a worn stuffed rabbit tightly to his chest, like it was the only thing keeping him grounded. Theresa felt her heart tighten instantly. She had a sense that he was carrying a grief far heavier than most adults could bear. "Hi there, sweetie," Theresa said softly, kneeling down so she was at his level. "My name is Theresa. What's your name?" The boy's lips trembled as he whispered, "Ethan." Theresa's eyes softened. "Ethan, it's nice to meet you. Do you want to sit with me for a little while?" Ethan nodded silently, following her into the small, calm space she had arranged inside the booth. The sounds of the fair faded as soon as the flap closed behind them. It was like stepping into a quiet bubble amidst the storm of laughter and music outside. Theresa took his hands gently in hers, noticing how small and fragile they felt. "I hear someone very special wants to talk to you today," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Can you tell me a little about them?" Ethan's lower lip quivered. "It's my sister, Lily. She's gone." His words were fragile, barely audible. "I was at the fair with her, and she got lost, and she didn't come back." Theresa felt a lump form in her throat. She had connected with hundreds of spirits over the years, but there was something about a child grieving a sibling that always struck her deeply. Tears began to prick at the corners of her eyes, but she held them back, focusing on Ethan instead. "Oh, Ethan," she said softly, "I am so sorry. Losing someone you love is the hardest thing in the world, especially someone as close as a sister. but she's still here in her own way, watching over you, loving you. Ethan looked at her, eyes wide, not sure if he could believe her. You really think she's watching me? Theresa nodded, her own tears now slipping down her cheeks. Yes, sweetie, I can feel her. She's right here, wanting you to know she's safe and that she still loves you more than anything. For a moment, Ethan didn't speak. He just clutched his stuffed rabbit and stared at the floor, trying to process her words. Then, a small voice, like a whisper in the room, seemed to echo around them. Theresa closed her eyes and reached out, letting the energy guide her. Ethan, she said gently, she's telling me that she remembers the fair, the rides, the cotton candy, and she wants you to remember them too. She's smiling at you even now. She's proud of how brave you are. Ethan's eyes filled with tears. She really is here? Theresa nodded again. Yes, she's right here. And she wants you to know something important. That it's okay to be sad, but she wants you to keep having fun too. She wants your laughter to reach the sky, even if she can't be here to hear it. A quiet silence fell over the booth, the kind that only happens when a child truly believes in something miraculous. Ethan took a deep breath, a small but genuine smile beginning to form. I miss her so much. I know, sweetheart, Theresa said, pulling him into a gentle hug. And it's okay to miss her, but remember, she's not gone. She's always with you, in your heart, in your memories, and even in the way you laugh. She's your little guardian angel now. Ethan hugged her back tightly, burying his face in her shoulder. Theresa could feel the weight of his grief, but also a tiny spark of hope beginning to bloom. After a few minutes, she pulled back, wiping her tears. Ethan, I want you to do something for me, she said. Every time you feel sad, think of Lily. Think of her smiling, and take one deep breath. She's telling me that it will help you feel her love whenever you need it. Ethan nodded solemnly, his hands still clinging to the rabbit. I'll try. Theresa smiled through her tears. That's all she wants, Ethan. And I know she's proud of you already. She's been watching you this whole time, waiting for this moment. And now, she can finally let you feel her love. When they stepped out of the booth back into the fair, the sun was beginning to dip low, casting long golden streaks across the carnival rides. Ethan paused at the edge of the line, looking up at the Ferris wheel. I think I can go on the ride, he said softly, a flicker of excitement in his eyes. Theresa knelt down one last time. Go on, Ethan. Ride it for Lily. She's right there with you, smiling the whole way. And as Ethan ran toward the Ferris wheel, Theresa stood quietly, tears streaming down her face. She felt a warmth in her heart, a mixture of sorrow and hope, because she knew that even in the deepest grief, love never really leaves. It lingers, guiding, comforting, and reminding us that those we have lost are never truly gone. That day, among the laughter and the lights of the fair, Theresa felt the presence of a little girl who had touched the hearts of everyone she had left behind, and she knew that the magic of love and the bond between siblings would never fade. Hello, lovely viewers. Welcome to my channel. I am Mina. Hope your day is so well. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe the channel.